This video contains gratuitous use of profanity and uncomfortable pauses to compensate for lack of professionalism and original thought. Viewer discretion advised.
Coming to you live from the ashes of Krypton, we bring you the Nerdy Manroom show with your hosts, Hassel and Monster. Monster, we got a Money in the Bank recap episode today with a little bit of Geek Week mixed in. How you doing, man?
All right. Just busy from work. Been a busy few days. Just playing, trying to stay on top of things at the moment until the end of the week. And then
this was kind of like the Mondayest Tuesday ever.
Yeah, it's been one of those. But I suppose with that, since you brought it up, we are going to discuss Money in the Bank today. And before that, let's just go straight into Geek Week now and just share what we've got going on. So, Hassel, what you got going on in your world, sir?
Well, as I was showing you just before we started recording, I got another Azrael in the mail, and he was out of stock like for a while there. So he popped back up in stock, and I was like, shit, I want to open one, but maybe I can get the blue one. So I gambled, it was $22. So I rolled the dice, ordered another one. I was like, well, if I get another red, I'll open it. If I get the blue, it can go on the wall. Well, I got a red, unfortunately. Well, I don't know. But he's beat all the hell I'm back inside the box. It was a good damn thing, Amazon, that I was intending to open this son of a bitch. Because if he was going to be MOC, he would not be M. He'd be FOC for fucked up. So, yeah, there's that. Watched some of Raw last night, but I'll hold off on that until we get into Money in the Bank. Over the weekend, man, we had 4th of July festivities and all. We was getting ready to. We spent more time getting ready for showcase the house, so to speak, because everyone's coming wanting to fucking tour the house. Yay! That's the joys of selling your home. People just show up in your house and travel around, and you got to have it showcase ready 24/7. It's not living friendly, so to speak. So we spent more time doing that this weekend. I didn't really get to do a whole lot. I did try to do some 2K, and the newest patch they put just broke the game. Like, you almost can't enjoy it. Like, anything creative player wise, it just foobarred up. It is. I got like my Adam Copeland is bald headed. My Chris Benoit was bald headed. Ric Flair has this Sapphire Tuck deal going on. I don't know what the hell his deal looks like. It's a black ring and bald at the top. I did a CM Punk that, he's a downloadable character. He's not a, community creation or any of that. All I did was take him and, give him some Bret Hart colors. So I got him paired up on Raw and the universe mode with my, my Hassel character. Well, he's Hass Hall, but it's close I get a Hassel. So I got them paired up in there, the tag team champions. For whatever reason, he came out in his underwear. No socks, no shoes, no tights, nothing. Just underwear. So, man, it's just like to the point where I think I'm going to just set it aside until they put another patch out, put Jedi Survivor back in there, and see how far I can go with that. Because I got to a sticking point with it, and by the time I got to a sticking point is when that dropped, and I hadn't touched it since.
I have to admit, I haven't turned my Jedi Survivor back on in a very long time. I need to just to see. I don't even remember where I was at.
Well, I got it at Christmas time, but I got Spider-Man 2 at Christmas. And I got into Spider-Man 2. And then, I defeated Spider-Man 2, and I started Survivor. And the time I started Survivor, I had like a week and a half period there. And to a lot of you gamers, I commend you. A week and a half, you can smash shit out of a game. Your boy can't do that no more. Back in the day, yeah. Now, no. If I get to play for more than an hour, I have really done something now. So, and that's not consistently daily. That's like maybe an hour on, one day and a couple hours on Saturday or Sunday, maybe. That's all I get now. So they call it adulting. It sucks. I don't recommend it. It was a lot more affordable in the 90s also. Anyways, so I never got back to it. So I'm think I'm gonna get back to it until they drop another patch on 2K because it's trash right now. Either that or I'm gonna buy Madden and start Madden and getting ready for football. I'm gearing up for it.
I can understand that. Yeah, I don't get to play much either, so.
Yeah, this adulting thing, it's not what we were sold on. I can tell you that. It looked far better when we were teens than it does now.
This is fair. This is true.
So what did you have this week, Monster?
I was traveling all last week, and I honestly didn't even get to come home until Friday. I will say, nicety of, I was gonna travel home on Wednesday because I was done for work. Because Thursday we were supposed to be off for the 4th, but to be honest, I was there on Wednesday, and I was like, man, you can't get a flight out of here. They were all sold out. Thursday was ungodly expensive. I was like, I'll just fly home Friday and, just burn one day of PTO time instead of being home and burning Friday, because Friday would count as work because I'm traveling and I worked while I was at the airport and stuff. But traveled home on Friday, and then when I got home, I will say I started trying to catch up on some comics, and a couple of things I did read. Krakoa Age, the X-Men stuff that ended with the Krakoa Age there. I saw the end of it, which was the whole thing was bad, but it was just unbearably confusing to finish it off. It's like I don't even know what happened, why it happened. It just, at some point the story just went way left and just kept going and going and going, and it's like, all right, I really don't even know what the hell went on here, but I did finish it. And then I started on Blood Hunt, and I read it up through like the 3rd issue of it. It's at best for a crossover.
The only thing I read out of Blood Hunt is, well, I read the free comic book thing, obviously, but I read the Midnight Suns because I was Ghost Rider, and I was a little thrown off on it because Danny's there. Last time you really seen Danny, he was part of Project or Weapon Hellfire or whatever the hell it was. Kind of Weapon X version of the satanic shit. He was part of that, and he had green flames. And in this, he looks just like he did in the 90s. Like, I was thinking at first when I was kind of glossing through it, like, is this a flashback? Because he's back looking just like he did in the 90s. Johnny Blaze is there with his Hellfire shotgun.
Yeah.
Which I'm digging that. I mean, I would like to see them stick with that.
Well, Johnny's still in that Ghost Rider Final Vengeance book, and the spirit has been pulled away from him and has dropped on Parker Robbins, the Hood, and I'm like, okay. But they haven't finished that story, and it's like, okay, how is Johnny here? But he's like, they don't give a good timeline of when that story happened, other than, hey, this is going on around the same time.
I read the first issue of that, and I seen where Zarthos got stripped away, and Zarthos chose the Hood because he would feed him, him and Mephistopheli's souls and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, and I've got the next 2 issues of it. I haven't read them yet, and I think the final one's dropped yet. But so I'm not quite sure how that plays out, so to speak.
Yeah, well, I thought it was going to be a 5-issue or 6-issue miniseries, but it's still showing up for pre-orders for issues beyond that. So I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I will say that I am probably out on it after I've ordered up through like 5 or 6 issues, and after that I'm probably out. I'm probably not ordering the next one if I see it pop up again in this month.
Well, I think the next big Ghost Rider story is Vengeance is going to return, but I'm guessing there's going to be two different Vengeance. Because there was a different Vengeance, not probably about 10 years ago, I guess it was. He did have green flames as well, but Baldito's returning. But it says something about Vengeance returning and hunting down Ghost Riders, but then it said Baldino returns as well, and so it almost was worded like maybe he's going to be aiding them.
My question wasn't that, and I haven't looked at it much. Is it one of those, because they've been doing a lot of those set back in the 90s storylines where they, like that Daredevil Black where he's in the black armor, was still set in the 90s. That Ghost Rider Danny Ketch book was set in the 90s, so I thought this one was too, that Vengeance one, unless it's going to be set in modern times. But
that was one of the taglines in the preview I read that said that something about Johnny still dealing with the fallout of being stripped of the spirit of vengeance.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that's where we're at with that. I know the book, the Midnight Suns book, was enjoyable, and then I enjoyed Lilith showing up at the end. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm not really digging this Blade as a bad guy, even though he's supposed to be possessed by the very first Marvel vampire or some bullshit. But
Yeah, it's not the storyline itself is like, it a lot of it just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, like there's like in that Blood Hunters book, which is one of the tie-ins, and it's like little short stories of different characters. Like there's a scene where, you know, Hulk is or Bruce Banner is trapped in this one thing with vampires, and he gets out of there and has to fight some others, and they're like, "Oh, you have a lot of blood. We can just feed on you forever, big guy." I'm like, dude, you can't even turn him. You can't hurt him. It's like Wolverine. They have a healing factor. They don't turn. So I don't know.
Yeah,
It's just
I was curious about that. That was one of the things. Like I follow Dope Spill Comics on YouTube. Shameless plug there, buddy. And he was doing a review, and that was one of the things he was talking about with the Hulk. He was doing like the Hulk regular book. And he was talking about moving into the next would be the Blood Hunt. And he was like, I kind of just feel like it's going to be a wasted, one-off. Like, and then that's a problem with these big series sometimes. You try to include everyone that's not clear where they're at in their timeline, because in their normal book, it doesn't fit in there nowhere. And then at the same time, it's like you just shoved them in there just to shove them in there, and it doesn't make sense.
and there's certain things that are like, okay, these are intrinsic parts of, especially when they're doing these things. They like to cross over with zombies. They like to cross over with vampires lately. And ever since Walking Dead became popular, it's, oh, we got to have Marvel zombies and this and that. And then we had vampires, and I don't even know why the vampire one just came back so popular, but we've had DC versus vampires, now the Blood Hunt stuff in Marvel, and I'm like, why is the vampire so popular in here? But whatever. But some things, if you're going to go that route and you're going to deal with that supernatural realm, you got to still hold on to some of the rules of it, or it doesn't play out right. But like I saw in that Blood Hunters book, Dagger gets turned. I'm like, how do you turn somebody whose power is to be connected to the light force?
Pure light.
Yeah. Okay, if you did that to Cloak, he comes from the Dark Force dimension. I could kind of see
Fair
that.
Fair enough.
But Dagger and DC versus Marvel, Superman gets turned, and I'm like, how? Or DC versus vampires, I'm like, how do you turn Superman? Because if you bit into him, every cell of his body is exploding with solar radiation. Wouldn't that just immediately kill the vampire who bit him? So
yeah,
he's vulnerable to supernatural,
like,
but
penetrate his skin. But I'm willing to say, okay, maybe because the vampire is a little on the mystical side.
You see that part I can see.
Maybe Soup has a vulnerability to that, but it does seem like the vampiric virus itself would just get burned away, and then the vampire would turn to ash, trying to bite him.
Well, then even if you do bite him, it's not like later on in the story he can still be Superman in the story because his powers come from Earth's yellow sun, but he can't be exposed to the sun as a vampire.
Ooh.
So later on in the story, and I won't spoil it, but he's wearing something that helps him out with that, but he has no more powers. But I'm like, why would you even do that? Because like, how can he be part of? If you are the vampire lord and you're trying to take over the DC universe, you want to turn the most powerful metahuman. Sure, that'd be great. But now he's no longer the most powerful metahuman.
Well, did you see in that? And I know it's veering off the path of what we're discussing. Did you see in that Absolute Power book? He's back to the black and silver suit.
Yes, because in that book they are supposed to be losing their powers and draining their powers. So I think he's wearing that for a specific reason.
Yeah, I think he got depowered by Amanda Waller or some shit.
They all do, which makes no sense to me. And so, like, how do you depower Superman? How do you depower Aquaman? How do you depower Green Lantern? And I'm going to use those for example. Like Flash, okay, you take away his connection to the Speed Force, he loses his power. Superman, he's an alien. His alien physiology is what gives him his power. How do you negate that? That's part of who he is.
Let's say block the his cellular structure from being able to absorb ambient energy.
Yeah, but now let's go to Green Lantern. He wears a ring.
It's a weapon.
It's a weapon. He has no actual powers. He's using a weapon.
And unless you like injected him with scarecrow toxin that just made him fear and just completely destroyed his will. I mean, that's a huge loophole.
And then my last one is I'll go back to, like I said, Aquaman. How do you take away his powers? Are just because the fact that they live underwater, their physiology is made for that. I don't know how you stop that. I mean, and if you look at that book and some of the previous, like, okay, they're showing where Amanda Waller's arresting all the superheroes and stuff because they've lost their powers. He's still a sovereign king of another nation.
Yeah.
So you're telling me the Atlanteans aren't going to come get him, and you can't take away all their powers because their powers are based on the fact that they live underwater. Their bodies are hardened because they live in ocean
That
depths.
might make for
How do
some
you
hard negotiations right there.
how do you take away their powers? I mean, they're just born with that physiology to live under the sea, and they've lived there for years. It's not like you just take away the fact that their bodies have developed to live under the sea and they have enhanced strength and skin toughness and stuff compared to a normal human. Like, how does this even work? It's like loopholes in the story. Like, how do you? I don't know. Those things kill me because I'm like, there are
Someone
still
is getting paid well to write that. They were not worried about working on a Tuesday.
No, and it's I would tell you that I have looked at the stuff for that, and I am just not impressed. I'm like, first of all, Amanda Waller's a wasted story. I mean, they've done this enough times now where she does something to go against the superhumans, and it's like, we've seen this already. Just move on. Do something.
It's almost like wash, rinse, repeat.
Yeah, pretty much. So that's all I've caught up on reading, but now I have watched a little bit of TV, and I will save, since we're going to talk Money in the Bank, I will save any wrestling, but I have watched a few other shows. I've been watching on Netflix a show called The Mole. It's basically a reality game show where they're competing to win money, but these people are all brought together. It's like 12 or 13 people or something like that, and they're brought together as a group. Well, one person in the group is working against all the others to take. They do competitions, and as they win the competitions, money's put in this pot. At the end of it, only one person gets to take the pot home, but there's one person in the group who is a mole who purposely tries to not win the missions and the money or can bet the money on stuff, because every now and then they'll do like an elimination thing where every episode there's an elimination. Whoever they go in for a quiz, and whoever has the least right answers on who they think the mole out of the team is gets booted off the show. But when they go in for these questions and stuff, it's very interesting to see. But the mole is obviously going to be one of the last ones there, because the mole can answer every question right and still be there every time, right? Because they are the mole. But it's very interesting to see them try to figure out who it is. Nobody trusts anybody, so it makes for good stupid TV. But then, like, you have the ones who are not the moles, like this one guy who was on there, they have what they call exemptions. So if you win the exemption, when it's time for the quiz, you're not up for elimination. Even if you got every question wrong, you can't go home. So this one dude, they get to this one point, they're like, they have like $59,500 in the pot. To win an exemption, they said, okay, they have everybody in the room together, say, all of you have to do a silent betting on these three different things. The last one is an exemption. So if somebody bets on the exemption, they win it. However, everybody's like, we shouldn't bet on it because we lose money. For every person who bets, we lose money because the money that they're betting with comes out of the pot. This one dude who just wanted the exemption so bad because he thinks he's the smartest person in the room, bet the entire $59,500, got the exemption. They went down to $0. They win the next activity, so they get like $20,000 back, and he fails the quiz and gets booted off. I'm like, you just wasted all. If I was those people, I'd be like, hell no, I'd kill that dude.
I will say, at your recommendation, I did watch a couple of episodes of that King of Collecting. I didn't know what it was on Netflix.
Yeah, King of Collectibles.
That's actually pretty entertaining. The wife actually enjoyed it. She watched a couple episodes with me. It was one of the things that we can watch together. So that was something we got into. Thank you for that, because other than Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon, which I glossed over completely earlier, I haven't had anything that's just like must see lately.
So I will tell you another show that you can watch that's actually pretty good. Now, not every episode because we don't care as much about it, but this is something I watched when I got home, because the third season of The Toys That Built America from History Channel is on Hulu now.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, season 2 is off there. Season 1 was only 4 episodes, and in season 2 they took off and put season 3 on there. But in season 3, there's 2 episodes you definitely have to watch. The very first one is Transforming Toys in America, and it's about Transformers versus GoBots and how they were both came about and which one got to market first. Because the whole thing with GoBots is we got to get to market first because Hasbro's developing something too, and we already have these rights. But they took so long to get there. They got there and they had one booming year that outsold Transformers the very first year that was on the market in '84, because they skipped Toy Fair, put it out early, like November, December, instead of waiting to the Toy Fair, which is what Hasbro did to show Transformers. But GoBots made a 5-episode cartoon miniseries to go along with it. So the first year they outsold Transformers. And then Transformers came back after that because they had a long weekly running episodic show, and GoBots had nothing on the air from '84 to '85. So they had nothing to watch. So it went from being that they made close to $1 billion in their first year, and outsold Transformers to the next year. Transformers within the double digits $1 billion, and GoBots is nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, I was going to say it disappeared pretty quickly.
But if you,
Is it maybe the same people that done the one that was on Netflix, the
no,
Toys
but
That Built Us?
It has some similar stuff to it, and it's kind of built similarly, but it's much more focused each episode about certain things, and not whereas those were focused on just one property. This focuses on like a type of property or something,
Okay.
and then delves into it more. Like this one was all about, GoBots versus Transformers and who got the market and who had better success in the market. And now the fact that Kenner was bought by Hasbro, so GoBots is actually part of Transformers universe now, whereas and they showed different things too. Like when GoBots was coming out, this was one of the funniest ones to me, and I don't even remember this part from the one from Netflix you're talking about, but they show a scene where everybody's like, "Oh, well, GoBots is mad. Kenner's mad because GoBots is very similar to Transformers, but they understand it's a different property." But then knockoffs start appearing of both of them. Well, Kenner's thing was send cease and desist. Hasbro, when they saw it, they went and took it to the Hasbro brother, whichever Hasenfeld it was. I can't remember his name because they were brothers, but the one who was in charge at the time, they took it to him and said, "Look at this, we got a problem. There's all these Transformers on the market that aren't Transformers." He's like, "But people think they're Transformers, so let's just make them Transformers." So they started buying everybody who was copycatting them and adding those robots who originally didn't even look like theirs or weren't part of theirs, but were similar enough to now. That's why instead of having just like Diaclone be Transformers, there was Diaclone and Microchange and all these others, because they just kept buying more properties that showed up looking like Transformers. And that's how they did the whole rub sign thing. Was it's not a real Transformer if it doesn't have the rub sign.
Well,
like,
that's what I was just going to say. I mean, they actually just took the Diaclone or whatever and created their lines. I mean, it's not like they wasn't robbing to begin with either.
Well, Diaclone was the original premise
Japanese
of Transformers. Line. Yeah, they bought the licenses to do it and changed it to Transformers in the U.S., which that was already agreed upon. But like Microchange then showed a few years later. So like a lot of your mini vehicles were not Diaclone, they were Microchangers. Okay. But they're like, that looks like our stuff. We'll just buy that property too, the license to that property. We'll add it to Transformers, and then they started putting the rough signs on to make it be like, oh, this is brilliant marketing. It's not real if it doesn't have the sign.
Like, and the GoBots were so terrible.
The one big one that they talked about in the GoBots that everybody hated is like, we had to come up with this one big sellable thing because we had all these small these small figures, and they transformed and said, so we came up with this command center, and it looked terrible because it looked like somebody just stuck a Pringle can on the side and slimmed the top. I was like, damn.
They're not wrong.
They did bring up too that in one of the original meetings before Hasbro had even gone over and gotten the license for Diaclone to make Transformers, in one of Kenner's first meetings when they first got the license to do the GoBot ones, they're sitting there going around the table like, oh, we need a name for it. And they're throwing out all these names. And one person says, what about Transformers? And this one guy says, sounds like something on a light pole. Nobody's going to buy that.
Oh, wow.
I was like, how would you have to feel to be him after the fact?
Might be why Kenner's out of business now.
Could be. I mean, he had a point. It didn't sound that great, but at the same time, I was like, man, you missed out on the boat there, because it's like this one thing says it all.
I think that was probably the biggest problem to me with the GoBots. It wasn't like Leader One was pretty cool and Psykill was pretty cool. Beyond that, all the rest of them just looked cheesy and cheap, and
they were made that way. But if you looked at them and the fact that they hit first, you would always have assumed that that's the knockoff. You would have always assumed Transformers came first, just to look at them.
Oh, yeah.
No, with no background knowledge, but
just from a production value.
Yeah. And then the best ones when they make fun at the end of that one, I won't go into it too long, but when they make fun of the fact that GoBots tried to revitalize by starting the Battle of the Rock Lords, which I like. The Rock Lords are like, what does every kid want? A rock. I was like, man, that's just wrong. But there is another episode in there too, and I thought this episode was just Ninja Turtles, because it shows a picture of that and it talks about Ninja Turtles. 5 minutes into it, they're like, the two biggest martial arts properties, Ninja Turtles and then Power Rangers, and they talk about the two of them for an hour, and I was like, okay. They delved into them pretty good. I mean, a lot of that stuff we had already seen in the Toys That Made Us, a lot of the details, but it was interesting to see some more of the background stuff that they went through. Like, I don't think they shared this in the Toys That Made Us, and maybe they did and I'm wrong, but at like one point when Saban's trying to sell he tries to sell all these different versions of Power Rangers because he saw Bioman, and it's like that's in like 84, 85, and he doesn't even get it sold to the U.S. until 92. And by that time, they're on ZU Ranger, which becomes Power Rangers. But Margaret Lesh, who was at Fox at the time, who bought it and put it on the air, was like her boss was so mad at her that they told her that like this is not, no one is going to watch this. This is the worst thing, and when this bombs, it's your job. You're fired.
Ooh.
But you got to think now that she was told this about the X-Men and she was told this about this. So in 92, 93, 94, she's responsible for X-Men, Power Rangers, and Spider-Man, the animated series on Fox. Spider-Man probably would have been fine regardless, but those other two, everybody at Fox owed her a bonus at that point.
Yeah, no shit.
Wow. She held them out, but I mean, it was interesting to see some of that stuff. I mean, those 2 episodes alone are worth watching. There's a lot of other episodes, but like I don't care about skates and hula hoops and stuff like that, which is some of the episodes. Or board games are kind of interesting. Some of the video games look okay, but it looked like they changed halfway through this 3rd season because they used to be like 43-minute episodes, and then with commercials an hour. And the last half of the 3rd season, they're only 23-minute episodes. So I'm guessing they saw that they weren't getting the ratings. They wanted to bump them down to half-hour shows, but.
Fucking TikTok has ruined our attention spans.
Those 2 are worth watching though. If you just got time to kill, if you enjoyed King of Collectibles, there's a lot of stuff in there that you would enjoy, and there's a lot of reviewers and stuff like Dan Larson and a few others from YouTube and all, and Rodimus Prime or whatever his name is. They do a lot of reviews of the toys and stuff. There are a lot of them, and they're talking about them and all. So those are interesting. Besides that, the only other thing I did besides watch Money in the Bank, and I'll quickly go through this, is I did watch Beverly Hills Cop, Axel Foley, the new one that's on Netflix.
Is that actually out yet?
Yeah, came out the 4th, the 3rd or the 4th.
Oh, okay.
I watched it over the weekend. I would say it was actually pretty good. I mean, first 2 Beverly Hills Cops are funny. You have to sit there and sit back and enjoy. I know there's some stuff that's dated in them, but they're really still funny to me because we watched some of them recently at the house, and they were still good. The 3rd one was kind of but this one was actually really good. This one actually kept my attention and was it was a good sequel to it to show that it's this many years later, but Axel is still Axel, and the rest of the cast shows up on there, and it's actually got a decent story to it. So it was fun to watch.
I'm going to check that one out. I didn't realize it was out yet.
I mean, it's I would not have gone to a theater and watched it, but to watch it at home, it's a good.
But let's be
7
honest.
out of 10 movie.
We don't really go to the theaters like we used to. It's just I'll go for Deadpool versus Wolverine, but other than that, I probably won't go back to the theater this year.
I haven't been as much as I still go pretty regularly if it's good stuff, but there just hasn't been that much this year that I've wanted to go see. Like I would have went and watched Bad Boys, the last Bad Boys there just to see it, but I was content to watch that at home too, just because I missed it at the theater. I was traveling at the time. I was like, But like Deadpool, I'll go see, and I will go see probably. There was a couple other movies I looked at earlier this week that I wrote down that I'd like to actually see, and I might go see them. But I also don't mind watching them at home. But like anytime a comic movie for the most part comes out, except for Madam Web, that's the only one I did not go to the theater and see.
I couldn't tell you the last thing I went to the theater to see. It would have either been Halloween. No, it wouldn't have been Kills because that comes straight to TV. So it had been The Nun too. That's probably the last, and that's been a while.
Venom 3, I think, comes out later this year in Craven, and while I don't think either of those is going to be that good, I will probably go watch them in theater if I have time. If I'm traveling for work, I'll just skip them and watch them later, but I still try to go see some, but no, it's not the same as going anymore. But Beverly Hills Cop, that newest one there's enough action in it you could have done it on a big screen and been okay, but you probably make more off of it with the exclusive for it to be on Netflix. And I said it's a good 7 out of 10 movie. It's not perfect, but it's not terrible by any means. I mean, if I'd have went to a theater and paid $20 to watch it, by the time I paid for a seat and for me and the kid and for food, probably like $40. But then I might say it's probably a 6 just because I paid money to go watch it.
That's the thing. Like even here in South Georgia, it's $45-$50 by the time you and the other person goes. You get popcorn, drinks, and all that crap, and it's just like. Plus, I think that's spoiled. If I want to get pissed, I want to be able to pause the movie. Or if I just want to get up and get another beer or whatever, I mean, I can pause.
There's that, and there's the cost of everything. But I wonder how much longer we will truly see theaters anyway within the next 10 years. Because I don't know if they'll still be around. Because honestly, you look at it right now, most of them are losing money. There's 2 or 3 of them that are huge that have filed potential bankruptcy clauses this year. They just haven't fully filed. It's like it's out there. Like Cinemark and Regal, both of them, who are two of the biggest ones in the world, are filing potential bankruptcy. They're like Chapter 13 right now, looking at Chapter 11. And
wow,
if they do that, I mean, it's so easy to watch it at home. But look at what else they're doing too. It's like there's no physical media is disappearing. It's not. Best Buy doesn't even sell DVDs anymore. Best Buy doesn't sell DVDs, Blu-rays, anything anymore. Walmart, Target, and Amazon are the only three big retailers that are still carrying those, as far as I know. There might be some more, but that's the three big ones that still carry some. Walmart has a fairly decent selection most of the time, but they're getting movies a lot later. Target has slimmed their selection to almost nothing, but they're still carrying some physical media. And Amazon,
I don't know who goes to Target to buy movies. They're so much more expensive than any damn where else, and I've never understood that.
I will buy them in there if I find one, because they'll do sales where you buy one get one half off, or buy one get one free a lot of times. And I'll wait till they do that, and I'll buy like one movie that I really want and another that I wanted but I didn't want to pay full price for. But honestly, Amazon puts them on sale more often, and I do more Amazoning for that stuff than I do Target or Walmart. It's just the fact that that stuff is disappearing, and they're saying there's a lot of them saying that they're not even going to do physical. Some companies are saying they're not even going to do physical media releases anymore. They're just going to go streaming after it's been in the theater. So at that point, do you even need a theater, or do we just stream straight to home?
That part. I mean, make it a decent, I mean, a fair price or whatever, $25 or something like that, and you just buy the damn movie.
I mean, I looked online yesterday, and like that movie, that new one with Ryan Reynolds, the Imaginary Friends one, I kind of want to see that because I've heard it's really good for what it is. It's not something I'd have paid to see in theaters, but I do want to watch it. It's on Paramount sometime this week, Thursday or Friday. I'm like, well, I didn't have to pay anything to go watch it. I already paid for that service.
Yeah. Well, I don't mind paying it if it comes like on the day it drops. I don't want to wait 2 months and then still have to pay $19, $20. No, we're not doing that. Because then I will wait you out another month for you to be free.
You were talking about looking for something to watch. Godzilla vs. Kong, New Empire is on HBO Max now. Dropped this past weekend.
Might check that out then.
Yeah, you see Kong use his Infinity Gauntlet along with the radioactive dinosaur. But seriously though, you look at this stuff, and then I saw today that is it today? Yeah, I saw today that Skydance apparently has bought. Was it Paramount that they bought out?
I've seen something about that there. I did see that in the news today. I didn't get to read the article on it, but I did see the headline. I was like, kind of, ooh.
So I mean, CBS haven't owned all that stuff. Paramount owned it. Now Skydance is doing it. So I'm wondering how longer they'll be doing any movies on a physical release versus I just put it on our platform.
You reckon Kevin Costner wish he had some Horizon money back?
We don't get the kickback anymore. Just give us the full amount of it. So that stuff has changed so much. But
I'll say in the next 5 years, you won't have theaters.
I would be surprised if we have too many. And the only thing that the theaters that I've seen that are doing successful right now are doing is, I don't even know if say fully successful, because restaurant businesses are hard to make money in until 5-10 years later, right? But the ones that are doing the full restaurants in there and they're bringing the food to you and all that stuff, that's a nice little touch. But there's not that many of those.
I feel like you'll have some big ones like right here, maybe doing that kind of stuff. But as far as your common theater in small towns, 5 years they're done. It's a shame too, because actually the theater experience was always fun as a kid, and even up into being an adult. It's just COVID just changed our way of life, and that was one of the things that went by the wayside.
The stuff was going that way already. I mean, Uber, DoorDash, all these things that bring stuff to you. I think we were going that way to make life more miserly, for lack of a better term, where we just sit at home and avoid.
Is it Wally, where everybody's fatting on those little vehicles, just driving around through life?
Yeah, we were going that way, but COVID like hastened it, because after that it's like even now I saw the other day that Amazon apparently bought Grubhub or whatever, so it's like you get a month of Grubhub free for being an Amazon customer. I was like, great, I don't have to go anywhere and I don't have to pay the DoorDash fees for food to come here.
That actually isn't a bad deal. That's typically the only thing that stops me. We got DoorDash here, and it's a handful of places because we're small, but that's what stops me from DoorDashing, because you already pay an up fee. Yeah. Whatever you're buying, and then you got to pay a DoorDash fee too, and it's like, I'm not fucking paying.
And then you got
$10 more.
Yeah. I don't mind tipping for somebody to bring. I hate the fees that are like, okay, I did this because when I travel sometimes I'll DoorDash because I'm so tired. I don't feel like leaving the hotel once I get back to it. But I look at it and I'm like, all right, this one's got a $0 delivery fee. However, it's still like $8 or $9 for just services and fees that they charge you for.
Yeah.
That's what keeps DoorDash going because that's what they take, the delivery fee, that fee, and then the tip goes fully to the driver. Or those two go to them to a certain portion, and part of it's got to go to the restaurant too. And I'm like, it's like $8.99 more just for me to order this food. Where it's like this if I just go pick it up myself at the drive-through. And I can still order ahead, just drive through, tell them I'm there, and grab it.
Yeah, it's like $8 to $10 more even here in Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
And if I were in a big town, okay, it would probably be worth the hassle of getting out. I would probably say, you know what, fuck it, I'll pay it. This is not a big town, however.
No.
I can drive from one end of this son of a bitch in 10 minutes.
Well,
So
I can for me, and it's different fees everywhere. So like for me to order from Chick-fil-A where I live right now, it's $1.99 fee. Well, Chick-fil-A could be 5 minutes to get there, or it could be 15 depending on what time of day I'm going because of rush hour traffic. Because I'm not on a major highway, but there's one of the major cut throughs to get from one highway to the other passes my place. So I'm like, if I go at 5 o'clock, I ain't making it there in 15 minutes.
yeah,
If I go at 3 o'clock, I can make it there in 5 minutes. But I don't need food at 3 o'clock. However, I turn around and I order, and it's like, okay, that's $1.99 fee. Then I can go up for the delivery fee. That's outside all the service charges and stuff. Those are still $8-9. That's the same everywhere. But that $1.99 fee that they say is $1.99 here, I can do it when I go to Missouri to my site I go to in Missouri. When I order there, it's like a $0 delivery fee. So I'm like, oh, I saved $2 here, cost me $2 there. Went to Columbus, Ohio not long ago for a work meeting, and like, oh, I'm on DoorDash Chick-fil-A. They charge $5.99 for their delivery fee. I'm like, you're the same restaurant. Why are you cost so much different everywhere you go to?
and this, folks, is the economics class they should have taught us in high school.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie though, I have used DoorDash a few times, but I do hate using it when I'm at home because I'm like, it's an extra so much, and I got to pay for it. At least when I'm traveling for work, it's not all on me. I might have to pay the extra fees, but I'm like, I'll pay $10. They can pay the rest of it. But here I got to pay all of it, so I'm like, eh.
Wife has used it a few times. I've wanted to strangle her for paying $10 more for a damn McMuffin in the morning and a cup of coffee.
Now I will admit that I used my DoorDash on Saturday because I had to pick up the kids from work and then get back home in time to watch Money in the Bank. And since I didn't want to stop anywhere or go back out, I had food come to us while we were watching Money in the Bank, which is my great segue for us to get into our focus topic of Money in the Bank. So Hassel, I'm going to let you kick us off here. Because we said we were going to talk about it, review it somewhat. I don't know how much there really is to review.
Brother, I'm going to be honest. I watched this pay-per-view, and I haven't been so let down by a fucking pay-per-view of WWE standards since the 95 era of Diesel as champion in your houses. That's the quality of this fucking pay-per-view. The best thing about it was probably where Wade Barrett, gets involved and tries to, keep McIntyre from smacking the piss out of Pierce again. That was probably the best part of the whole night. Like, all of the booking decisions were questionable at best, with the exception of Tiffy winning. I mean, that one made sense.
That one made sense, but that match was so botched.
Oh, that was a botch fest. We'll get into that, but and I will say, story-wise, to get to SummerSlam, it does make sense for Cody to lose. But, I mean, You didn't have nothing to send the fans home happy with this pay-per-view. This pay-per-view was just drizzler after drizzler after drizzler.
But, I didn't mind most of the stuff. So how about we just run through it? We'll review the stuff and talk about what we liked and didn't like, just to say, because if we start talking about stuff we did or didn't like altogether differently, but we might be here for quite a while.
Well, to me, the men's Money in the Bank match, okay, you jerked the curtain with that one. So that says you want to really kick the show off, coming out to get hot, so to speak. The match itself was actually pretty enjoyable. I was a little let down when Drew won the Money in the Bank because me, you, and Big Rob, we were all texting. And I called 100% what they were going to fucking do.
Oh yeah, and I was on the same boat. I knew the same thing was going to happen. I wasn't sure if it was going to be the same night or not. That's the one thing.
To me, it feels like a very missed opportunity. This was the time to really strap the rocket to LA Knight or even Jey Uso, because both of these guys have like built them and built them and built them to get them into a good spot, and then they shit on them, and then they kind of build them up a little more to shit on them a little more. So it's like they're starting to each time go down a little further. These guys needed a quality win to get to, that next level. Because at this point, I mean, how many more times you'll keep investing in Jey Uso or LA Knight to win the big one? When every time, I mean, it's kind of like with Cody. If Cody had not won at Mania, he'd have been dead in the water. Kind of like Lex Luger. He didn't win against Yokozuna, and as Jim Cornette says, he came over like a plate full of piss. It's kind of how these guys are doing now.
Yeah.
They're to that point to where they need that win, and I get it. They're going to probably put the U.S. title on Knight. I don't know what they're going to do with Jay after he hauled ass and run from the Whites this week.
He's been doing that though since they started. Like, did you see the other week where he hit under the ring and then came out after everything was over with?
Yeah, and that's kind of funny, but I don't want to see Jay become a comedic act because Jay is very talented, and he's a next level guy. And unless they're going to let Gunther win the belt, and then Jay's going to be the person to finally dethrone Gunther, that would be.
So while you bring him up, let's touch on something, because we were texting, as you said, and Big Rob included as well. And one of the things he said, one of you guys said, well, does not being number one contender not matter anymore? And I'm like, you know what though? Because the King of the Ring is getting a shot, which is a new thing. I don't remember them ever saying you won the King of the Ring, so you get a shot at the title.
First.
However, I was trying to say this through text, but I was getting sleepy, so my text was all botched up because I fat fingered a lot of it. To me though, for you to win a specific singular match and you get a shot at the title, whether you're number one contender or not, I don't have a problem with that as long as you're still going to have a number one contender elsewise, right? Like Gunther won King of the Ring. He's got a number one contendership. He said he's doing it at, and I guess they get it at SummerSlam, right? That's how it's working out. So he knows he's getting a SummerSlam, but that does not preclude Seth Rollins coming back and being able to have a number one contender spot and fight Damian before that. I don't have a problem with winning the Royal Rumble and you get a shot specifically at Mania. You win King of the Ring, you get a shot specifically at SummerSlam. Doesn't mean you're going to get any of the shots before or after that, but you got those.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, you got to have some number one contenders along the way to get it there.
And Money in the Bank, the same thing. It's just that Money in the Bank you can do whenever you want to. I don't have a problem with those three. Now, if you start every pay-per-view, you win something, you get it. Now, you go in the Elimination Chamber, and it's all the people who could be the number one contender, and whoever wins gets to become that, and then you chase it until the next pay-per-view. I'm okay with that too, but I don't have a problem with that as much. I don't think it demeans the number one contender as long as you're saying, okay, you won this specific match, you get this shot either here or now, or you get this contract for one shot at a time of your choosing. But that doesn't preclude me from saying that, okay, you're not always the number one contender. There are other options out there.
Do you remember kind of like up until the mid-90s how they had like a top 10 for each division? And that was how they determined the contenders. Like, you had the top 10 for the Intercontinental title and the WWF title and the US title and so forth and so on. I'd like to see that return. I know AEW, they tried to do that for a while, and then they just, even by their own standards, they just kind of, But, I'd actually like to see that return. Gunther, at this point, Gunther's going to win the belt because they have just demeaned, and I hate this for Damian because his title run, would you say it's been lackluster? Because every win he's got has been, by some kind of BS.
It has been, and I hate that because I actually like Damian. I think he could be a decent champion. I don't think he's I think he's a good main eventer. I'm not sure how good of a champion he really is.
I honestly feel like they boxed themselves into this shit with Gunther, not realizing what a great story it was going to play out with Finn and Damian. And don't get me wrong, when Damian loses the title to Gunther and Finn turns on him, that's going to be something. But I feel like it would have been much better for Finn to turn on him while champion, take the belt from him, and then him kind of feud over the belt. As Damian chases a little bit as a babyface. I feel like there's more money than Gunther, because when Gunther gets it, he's going to be an unbeatable monster for some time, probably to Mania.
Yeah, and I can see that. I actually, like I said, I like Damien. I just think that they not done him any justice by having the Judgment Day storyline with him being champion. And so, all right, just go ahead and either take the belt off him and move forward with that, or do something with that and get him out of there. Because
he's been a tweener this whole time, while the rest of the group is heels. Like, he's trying to do the right thing, but then he says things like, "Oh, they need me more than I need them." I don't know, man. Then he forgot to kick out. Poor bastard. Yeah, that's why I felt bad for him, because even Triple H was later. He was like, Triple H, look, well, there's human error, mistakes happen in the ring. He said the sad thing is this is all anyone's going to talk about, instead of what a great match it was prior to that and after that.
Yeah.
No one's going to say anything else. And literally, like, it was on MSN and all these news sites, like, controversy. And I'm like, oh man, would you like to be that guy? Because under Vince's reign, what would have happened.
Oh yeah, most of these folks wouldn't even still be there.
Oh man, there's so much going on right now that you just know that under Vince's reign, whoo.
I mean, they would have been people backstage prior to this pay-per-view. The sound went out several times. The sound when they were doing the pre-show, like I only watched like the last 10 minutes or so of the pre-show, but
SmackDown 2 weeks ago was almost unwatchable.
They lost audio multiple times. People were talking over people on there, and you could hear them talking about, why is this not working? Can anybody hear us? And it's like, oh, this is bad. The production quality, because they are known for that.
Who was it with Cole? Well, last night, McAfee lost audio a couple times, and it was like, what's going on with you people? Did Kevin Dunn really hold that much together?
I don't really think he did, because the if you watch the packages and stuff they've been doing, they're still just as good, if not better. And the new camera angle is like just catching people backstage and then be like, come on, follow me to the ring. And then you follow them versus just always sitting in that same shot watching them come out. It's like, okay, this is actually much more enjoyable because it's moving. And we have shorter attention spans now. It keeps getting shorter. So I actually like being like, okay. And when Kevin Owens grabbed the cameraman, come on, and made him walk out there with him and stuff a few weeks ago, I was like, okay, I actually like this better. This is actually more in line with what I'd like to see, but I don't know what's going on with their audio side of it. That's where they seem to be struggling. Which is weird, because they were
side of things. It was because the crowd keeps getting unruly. There's MSG a few weeks ago. The crowd kept doing, vulgar chants. So every time it do vulgar chants, it would like cut the audio. But what it was doing is it was cutting, going to black. So like the screen would go black for a little while and come back and go black for a little. And it was like I almost turned it off twice, because I got just fed up. I was like, man, I'm not going to keep just sitting here to this crap.
Yeah, and that's part of the system they have for that, right? They're trying to block the audio and the visual with that, but I'm like, eh. But Money in the Bank men's match wasn't a terrible match overall, and we did get the wrong winner, because I'd like to see somebody else use that for later, but I get it for what they were trying to do with the storyline, but it wasn't needed in this storyline.
Drew and Punk have all the heat in the world. That is a red hot match. Even if they don't even do a gimmick match at SummerSlam, that is a red hot match already. So you didn't need that. I mean, Punk has done cost him the title, what, 2-3 times now?
Yeah.
Before this was probably the third time, I guess. So he didn't need that right there. I feel like it would just been better served to be with Uso or, Knight. And I mean, the rest of those guys were kind of fodder in this match, because unfortunately they didn't have a Ricochet to bounce around for them. But that was a FUBAR. That was like FUBAR number 1. Then the Intercontinental title match. Can you honestly tell me that Bronson shouldn't have won that? I mean, honestly.
So I'm fine with him not winning it if it had been a disqualification so that he went strong. Let him snap, beat Sami Zayn up, and either get counted out or get disqualified for beating him so badly and not listening to the refs' rules.
Mm-hmm.
And you still show him as a strong person versus him just getting beat.
Yeah.
What did getting beat do for him? Losing the belt or not winning the belt, I'm okay with, because it might be a little early. However, the way he lost was ridiculous. I would have had him lose, but I would have got him disqualified.
I'm to this point here. Okay, I know NXT is your farm system. However, you trusted this guy to be your NXT champion on 2 occasions. One of those occasions for about 8 months. Okay, whether he's still a little green or not, I mean, anybody that comes from NXT that's a former champion, they should be ready. They should be a contender. They should be considered champion quality. Sami Zayn does not need the belt at this point. It does nothing for Sami. Sami's contract is about to be due, and unfortunately, him and Kevin Owens are probably get paid because both of their contracts come due at the end of the summer, I think it is. Kevin, I understand keeping. They could let Sammy go, and I would not bat an eye. I just do not like this guy. The only time I've ever cared for him at all was towards the end of the Bloodline run with him. He was kind of humorous to me, and if he sides with Roman and helps battle the Bloodline, I'm fine with that. But beyond that,
so I would tell you though, I would have booked it the same way for Braun to lose it. But what I would have done, like I said, I would have made it where either he gets counted out for beating up Sammy outside the ring, or he snaps and beats Sammy so bad, and the refs tell him he's got to stop or break a count or something. He doesn't, gets disqualified. Because what I would do then was I could build that up until SummerSlam for him to win the title at a bigger event. So let's let him win it at SummerSlam, but let him lose that way. But then he comes out every week and beats up refs and Sammy and whoever he can find because they screwed him out of his
either
win.
that or Sammy gets to win with like a small package, kind of a Bret Hart type, like Bret Hart and Diesel.
I wouldn't even let Sammy pin him at all.
Because they've done that there. Like with Bret and Diesel, Bret got the win, but Diesel still looked strong like it was a fluke. You know what I'm saying? Like he thought he was playing possum. Something like that, to that effect. And then, you still go the route they went last night where, Braun comes out here and squashes the tar out of him and just leaves him.
Diesel, though, however big and strong and powerful, he was not like a Brock Lesnar who just like murders people. And that's what they want Braun to be. So that's what I'm saying. Let Braun beat him down, then get disqualified. So then Braun comes out and attacks Sammy every time Sammy comes out for something. And then Braun also probably goes and harasses the referee who disqualified him or counted him out and just beats him up or goes after Adam Pearce or whatever.
Suspend Drew McIntyre indefinitely for what he done and then didn't suspend Braun last night.
I haven't seen last night, so I don't know what he did.
I will say I'm a fan of what they did with him last night because like he comes out there and they have their little talk and Sammy's being smug as fuck to like just what do you want? What do you want? Go ahead and say it. What do you want? Just like I'm like, nah, dog. And Braun's like he's being humble and he's like, hey, you're the veteran, I'm the rookie. Yeah, I got to go to the back of the line. I get it. I can't just expect a shot. And before he can get it out of his mouth, he's launched. And I'm talking about, dude, he's got a launch that's faster than Goldberg. And he creams him. And then beats the living piss out of him. From that point on, he beats some officials. He leaves and comes back, gets him again. And Adam Pearce is like freaking out. I'm like, well, why is he not indefinitely suspended? But don't get me wrong, I'm a fan of that. I like what they're doing with Braun on that point.
Yeah, but see, then you could have I think they could have a really good match between him and Sammy if you did either in a cage or no disqualification at SummerSlam. That's what I would have built up to and been like, all right, let's let Braun just murder this dude in here and just really show how bad he can be.
I'm a fan of that, and I love how he sounds so much like Scott. It's just ridiculous. Well, he's got his promos. You can tell when he was a kid, because like Scott had said that like he would come to his house and recite the he would cuss words and all, even as a kid, to him he'd be like, get the hell out of here. So you can tell he done that Steiner so much.
I have popped a couple of times. I don't remember if it was McAfee or Corey Graves, but one of them was like, he's got a 33 and a third chance.
Well, he could
brought that up multiple times.
NXT, because that was one of the few times I watched, and I popped like a son of a gun when he done it. And because Scott Steiner was like, damn, I didn't think nobody would remember that. But he sounded just like him when he done it. He did tell Sami Zayn online. He said it don't matter what the marquee may say. I'm gonna beat you like a damn Steiner boy. I'm like, oh. So I like the little small acknowledgments like that.
Yeah, but that the match did not end the proper way on there.
No.
So. But we can move past that one now. What do we have next? I'm trying to remember all of them because some of them were not memorable.
You had that. There was the women's match that was just botch after botch after botch. The only thing that got right in that match was the fact that Tiffy won. She needs to rock it. It's good for her.
And I'm okay with that. I was actually pulling for her to win out of any of them. I mean, but that match, after watching it, I was like, they didn't learn from last year, because last year was a botch fest too. Last year was all Shotzi Blackheart. She fell off the ladder. She fell through the ladder when it was set up.
Who was it that they like done a sunset flip off to the fucking ladder that was outside between there and the announce table? And I thought they crippled that poor bitch. Oh my God. I don't remember who it was. Was that Zoe Stark maybe?
Might have been. I don't remember what happened to her. I remember
somebody got a sunset flip and they bombed them. And I felt so bad for that poor girl because I was like, oh, there's
Io Sky did the move on the ladder that was straddled between the ladder and the ropes to somebody, and she looked like she broke her tailbone the way she just kept rolling around.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. That could be it right there. That was one of those matches where at that point I was just kind of paying more attention to the bullshit with you guys than the match. It was bad.
There was so many times where people missed stuff, or they dropped ladders, or they did this, and like when they were even when they were trying to set up a ladder one time, they're trying to station the ladder between the ropes and the ladder, and it's like too far away, and they're like, pull it back. Like nobody saw that.
Well, that was the point in time where I was like in and out grilling, because I like at a certain point you got to be a little more attentive to it towards the end of it being done, and that's where I was at. So I was like, thankfully, thank you.
And then Chelsea Green went off the ladder through the tables, and I was like, why? What did that serve?
I commend her. God bless her. She's trying. She needs to be the first female real manager. Like they're making Sonya Deville into this role, but Chelsea could get that Bobby Heenan heat.
Probably, yeah.
Where she an actual manager, and I'm not talking about just managing other females. She could manage some of the guys, and not as a valet, a manager. She could get heat. She's not a good performer, but she's a good. Okay, she's not a good talent. She's a good performer.
Yeah,
is what I'm looking for.
Yeah,
but that match was just terrible. It was
bad.
That was an AEW collision match. That's what that looked like.
Oh, so since we're talking about the botches in that match, let's just go ahead and jump to the last match of the night, because there's nothing else memorable on this program. But
no,
the Bloodline match, and I'm gonna start with the botch.
I know which one you're going for too.
Which one though? Because Tongaloa had like 2 or 3 of them that were bad. I'm like, dude, you're not even in the match, and you screwed up the match.
When he hit his brother upside the fucking head, and tried to crotch hit, he hits his brother like. There's a video online where it's like going boing.
After the second attempt of the crotch shot, because the first one, he looked like he hit Kevin Owens in the taint.
You know what? I'm gonna be honest. When he first debuted, I had hope because he had been with the company before. And I was like, okay, he's been in Japan. He's got some experience under his belt. I was kind of curious why he didn't get the rub before the other one did. I see now why. Because he looks fucking Joe Biden-ish every time he comes out there. He's just like, I mean, he looks lost.
When he was standing there, just standing outside the ring, and they show a picture of all them talking, and he's just standing there. Like, is there a camera on me? Am I supposed to do something?
I swear it's like he's got that Biden look about him. Like he's just completely fucking lost. He would know who he is, what he's supposed to do. He botches everything he does. The only thing he's done well since he's returned is take that fucking frog splash to the table at MSG. That's all he's done.
Yes, but we talked about where he tried to, first of all, double botch on the crotch shot. The first one, he looked like he hit Kevin Owens either right in the asshole or in the taint, 1 to 2. He didn't get all the way under there. Kevin was like, "Did you do it or not?" He's like, we didn't get the move put in.
So he didn't know whether to sell or not. Like he knew he was supposed to sell, but it's like, did it come off so bad on camera that I don't sell?
Or was it that, or was it one of those? I can't tell if you're in yet.
Are you in yet?
It was bad. But then he does a second crotch shot and hits his brother in the upside the face with it.
That was the one, because like you can see his brother get like it just his whole face just like. Oh.
Well, he's already being held upside down in a move, so he knows he's going to take a move, so he's getting ready for that. But then all of a sudden you just pop. The fuck? It's gotta be. It's not probably didn't hurt, but it had to startle you at some point.
And I'm gonna be honest, like they're wanting Solo to be something. He is not a good talent.
he's fine if he's standing in the background along with the rest of these guys.
He looks like a tough guy. He
Yeah.
is one of those, like, if you took the 4 that you got as the new bloodline, okay, he looks intimidating. He looks like, you know, a mini Umaga, and he can be somebody. Bell to bell, he is not impressive. Jacob Fatu is by far the most impressive out of all of them. But they got him late, so I get it. You couldn't bring him in as that. But I'm gonna be honest, the one that showed up first,
Tonga.
Tonga is probably the best talent bell to bell they got.
Oh,
He's actually good. He is legit, and he comes off as a fucking menace.
Between him and Jacob, yeah, I mean there's some opportunity there, but Jacob did some stuff in that match that was impressive for his size and all, but like he's a great enforcer one because he just runs around destroying people.
Well, you can tell he's a wild man. I mean, he's not he's a force of nature. He's a Michael Myers.
The best thing about it was when Corey Graves was like, you know, we kept talking about how Jey Uso got across the border. How did he get across the border? I was like, ooh.
Well, supposedly Triple H had to talk to Canadian authorities to let him over because you know he had priors and whatnot, and that was one of the funny interviews I read. Was if you actually look at his YouTube videos, with interviews he's done, he's a pretty personable fella, and he's actually said, well, you know,
he's straight up honest too. He don't give.
He's like, I tried to be a thug, you know, at one point. He said I wasn't too good at it. I kept getting locked up. He says, so I kept seeing all my cousins wrestle, so I figured why not try that instead of getting, because my life of crime not too damn good. And I was like, fair enough. I can respect that. I got family this way.
He's so honest about it. He's like, yeah, I was like, I just did a lot of stuff. But now the other botch though, before I forget about it, from Tonga Loa is when he's standing out there and he's supposed to take a splash out of the ring and get and go into the table. He hit that table and gave himself a concussion, because when he hit that table, I don't care what anybody said, that was not a work. That dude got knocked the fuck out.
Dude, that's what's crazy.
He just slumped.
If you look at their work when the Gorillas of Destiny or whatever, when they were a tag team together over there in Japan, he works well over there. I don't know if it's like the
different style, man.
I don't know if it's the different style or if it's the fact that he knows there's so many more eyes on him.
Could be.
And the pressure of being, you know, Haku's son, because he's a legit son. Maybe he's just like putting too much more pressure on himself this go around because he's been fired one time. But like he just needs to calm down, because I've seen the dude can work. He really can work. And if you look at their New Japan stuff, like he does some great stuff over there. He was better than his brother. But he's not coming across that way now.
But man, the way he hit that table, did you see how he went down? He didn't hit it and go down like they normally do. He hit it and his whole body just crumpled up and slumped. I think he really got knocked out when he hit that table.
So when do you think we get Roman back?
Well, see, they're saying that he's already, you know, they were saying that I heard rumors
he was supposedly there.
Yeah. I don't know. That's interesting. I'm curious to see what they do with it, but
well, you know, the obvious course at this point is Cody solo at SummerSlam. So you know he's not going to show between now and SummerSlam, you wouldn't think. Which is a little bit of a letdown. I mean, but dude, do you know how bad that promo is going to be when Roman finally returns? Whew. Then people are going to go stupid.
Yeah. Well, we've covered all the Money in the Bank, and we went into it fairly in depth on what it was. So we're gonna get ready to get out of here. But before we get out of here, before we even get to Nerd Out, we got to bring up one point, or maybe even a couple points. So we usually, when we talk about one of these companies, we share a little bit about the other two. And man, you talked about some of them going to AEW and being look like a match from over there. Dude, it is getting worse and worse for them over there.
Yeah. Did you see the promo they done? And I guess it's the Hot Ricochet Prince Puma or wherever he's going to be when he returns over there. This Power Ranger helmeted person with a dragon shield on is jumping and doing all this stuff in neon lighting.
I have not seen that. I've got to see that.
That's kind of like they show this guy coming up through a tunnel, you know, because you know they have the tunnel there. Kind of like very, very TNA, early TNA. They have that there, and it's like he's got a Power Ranger helmet on, basically. And I don't know, it may look a little more like the White Ranger shield, but that's all you really see is that. And it's like, oh, come on. Don't do my boy like this. And don't get me wrong, Ricochet is not going to move any fucking needles over there.
Oh, heavens.
He'll have some great matches, but he had great matches in WWE. It's not like he couldn't, he wasn't a star. That kid just can't talk. He's not relatable to the fan.
How long can you continue just having great matches and think that's going to carry you, though?
Well, that's Tony Khan's problem. He thinks that he can have all these 5-star matches with no story, and people are going to keep tuning in. You can't. We want the story.
And I'm going to be honest with you, all the stuff that they call a 5-star match is not a 5-star match to me.
Well, that's what they're known for. So I'm kind of going with it. But I'm going to be honest, they have one really great match every card is the way I'm seeing it right now. Like on a pay-per-view, they'll have probably 3 solid, matches.
And that's fair.
But that doesn't carry things. It doesn't.
Where's the story? Where's the drama? I mean,
I was happy to see Britt Baker return, and her and Monet can be money. That can be money if you let Britt go over.
That'd be the only way, because Monet is not drawing any money.
No, she is. And for her to talk all the shit she talks, oh my goodness. If I was Tony Khan, the best thing he could do right now, job her the fuck out to Britt. Maybe put 1 or 2 more over and get rid of her. See if you can get out of her contract somehow. Give her back to New Japan. So take her.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all of their stuff altogether has not been. I'm not going to talk about the matches necessarily, because the matches are not necessarily always bad. Sometimes there's some stuff like it doesn't make sense or it doesn't do this for me. But outside the ring stuff that's going on, lowest ratings ever for one of their shows a few weeks ago. Bounce back it's a 17% bounce back. That's still only like 600,000, and you used to do like 8.
Oh man, he's really hyping. They were the number 1 TV show last week. But how many people was that really?
Number 1 in what?
Well, that's my thing too. I'm kind of curious about it. That made headline. I seen that on MSN today. Like Tony Khan's hyping number 1, being the number 1 show all of last week, and I was like, I'm almost positive the presidential debate would have been a higher rating than what you done. But I promise you, more people tuned into that shit show than anything.
Well, I don't see how he can't. I don't see how he even says that though. So 600, they came up to like 680,000 on average, or whatever it was.
Well, see, that's okay.
Raw and SmackDown
they initially kicked off
millions
5.5, 6 years ago. They were doing about 1 million viewers a week. Then it dropped down to it was averaging between 800,000 to 1 million. Sometimes it break to 1 million. So you have went down from your initial crowd drastically. Almost 500,000 people have tuned out in the last 5 years.
Here's what it is. The data, because I was trying to look it up while you're talking about it. They were the number 1 TV show on all of TV in viewers from age 18 to 34. So they've even limited that number that they used to look, because they used to talk about 18 to 49 demographics, and now that's not 18 to 34 demographic. You're gonna say you're the number 1 viewer for that.
So people that don't fucking think.
Yeah. And here's the other stuff they're talking about. You throw something out there like that, say you're the number 1 show, and you're obviously not. But then, so do you beat NXT in the ratings? There's been a couple of weeks where you don't. Now, in the last week, did you beat them? Actually, you did beat them by about 20 or 30,000. But that is WWE's C show at absolute best.
I almost bet you they don't tonight, though. Tonight's NXT will beat tomorrow's AEW just because of the fact, one, Ethan Page won the belt on Sunday, and I didn't watch the pay-per-view.
I have not seen what he shot on AEW and said. So have you got that? Did you see that? I saw it. That little post.
There's been several things he's kind of said here and there. Because he made the comment that he come from a place that was total chaos. You didn't know what the hell was going on. Very, very WCW towards the end is the way he worded it. To a place that's organized, you know what's going on. They act like you matter to be there. You're being taught things and corrected when you're wrong. Like he is just like throw to AEW all under all 18 wheels. Now he's their champion. But did you see the close out a heat wave on Sunday? They showed a singular. I didn't watch it, but apparently Paige wins the title. And before the show goes off, they show Joe Hendry on the screen.
Oh,
just smiling, doing his little, and the show closes. So you know Joe Hendry's showing tonight. I don't watch NXT, and I'm almost tempted to watch it tonight.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch that one just for the hell of it.
Because, I mean, if any of you people that follow our TikTok, I had to do a Joe Hendry on there.
So, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I mentioned him to you a couple months ago when I first heard about him. Like, I don't know what this is about.
I slept on him until he showed up on NXT, and then I was like, what the fuck is the hype?
So I will say this. I haven't actually watched him because he didn't get in the ring in that NXT match. He got out immediately. They all jumped on him. I have not watched any match bell to bell to see what his actual talent in the ring is. Now, I've heard Jim Cornette mention him a couple times. He's like, he's not that bad. But I haven't watched him.
He's fairly solid, dude. I didn't, like I said, until he showed up on NXT, I slept on him. I know you had mentioned him, and I checked out a few of his promos. They were kind of humorous. But when I seen him on there, then I started kind of doing a deep dive. Bell to bell, he's pretty solid.
Well, see, I didn't know because I haven't watched him, but I will give him this. Even if he's terrible bell to bell, he has that charisma factor where, man, he is like such a viral sensation. He pulls you in no matter what.
Even if you don't want to like him. Spotify and Apple Music right now.
He makes you want to and sit there and pay attention to him, even if you don't want to.
I fucked around, like I said, I've done that TikTok of Joe Hendry on there. Since I've done that, all I get is Joe Hendry in my fucking algorithm now. But there's so many of them. And it's like,
and they're so good. They're not bad.
Super hot ass girls on there too, you know, that are doing the Joe Hendry thing. And every one of them the same as what I've done. It's like day one, you're like, and then later it's like day 20, you're like, laughing like a fool and, you know, doing your thing. And I'm like, relatable, motherfucker. Relatable.
You know what, though? I'm going to take a quick aside before we come back and finish up on wrestling and move on. But I got to ask, just because we talked about it on here once, the Hot Tua girl. So now that she has quit her job at the spring factory, which is her real job, she worked in a spring manufacturing factory, and she has sold like $65,000 in merchandise in one day. Viral sensation. She's taking this to the extreme where she thinks she's going to have a career out of it. I don't know how it's going to last that long because the next viral sensation that comes along is going to bump her out of that. People even remembering it. However, did you ever see the full interview with her?
I seen clips of it because she's 30 days away from being irrelevant. But I seen clips of what you're talking about, and I finally seen who Pookie is. But you know what? They're smart. I'll give them credit. They are smart. Because like her and Pookie aren't like holding hands and shit. Pookie stays back. Like you don't know that that's Pookie until it's like certain shots here and there where you say, oh, this motherfucker's getting close. And that's when you realize, okay, that's who Pookie is. But she's smart enough to say, oh, bro, stay back there. You cost me money.
But the whole interview is what got me because the only thing everybody was talking about was the Hot Tua part of it, right? Spit on that. She's
real. I'll give her that. She is real.
But now when she backed it up a little bit, when you watched the earlier part of the interview, they're like, anybody you want to give a shout out to? And I don't remember if it was Pookie or somebody else. She said, he knocked the cobwebs off that thing. I was like, how did I miss that part of the interview? Like,
what little I saw clip-wise, soundbite-wise, she could have hung out with our core group of people back in the day and not been offended and just been like, kind of like old Grantham. She could have kind of been like her.
Dude, some of the stuff she said, though, is just like, I didn't see the whole interview until like last week, and I was like, damn, she said a lot more stuff. But I digress. Let's jump back to wrestling. And the last thing I'll mention about AEW was, because we saw this yesterday, and I didn't see this till yesterday. Apparently, this happened like a week or two ago. But when Tony Khan told that lie of all lies of wrestling, like Vince will lie to you about how many people showed up, how much money they made, everything. But Tony just made up shit that could not even be mathematically, humanly possible.
When he said, had 500 million people watching or something like that?
Yeah, it's like 500 million people came to the live shows at 110 live AEW shows in 2024. I was like, even if the same people followed you from venue to venue, that's 4.5 million people that need to show up to every one of your shows. The arenas ain't even that big, homie.
Oh, some AEW fans tweeted pictures of MSG when they were there. And, you know, the section they always tape off for the cameras.
Yeah.
no matter how big the venue is, they tape off a certain section of the crowd.
That's going to happen at every
for
show.
the cameras. And they were taking pictures of that from the opposite side of the arena. Oh, they're just like AEW. It's like, no, stupid. That's about 500 people they could have fit there.
Yeah.
That just means they'd have crushed them even more. But you got to have the fucking camera somewhere. You can't have idiots in between there. They done that even through the Attitude Era when they were smashing 18 people every damn night. 18,000 people every night. I mean, think about this.
I saw something else too, and I don't know who it was, but it was something from AEW saying that this WWE show said they were sold out, but it wasn't. And then when they went back and actually looked at the ticket sales, and somebody was trying to prove them different, it's like, yes, they didn't sell about 120 of the tickets for the venue. It is a 16,000
But you know what?
person
Everybody
house.
that was there was paid. It wasn't papered like a lot of the AEW. AEW is papering very much as WCW or more.
Oh gosh, yes. But when they say, hey, well, they didn't have a 16,000 person sold out house. Yes, they were at 15,900 something. There was 120 tickets not sold. You can't argue that point.
Oh man, they're gonna break the bank on that.
Yeah.
All thing that bugs me with WWE is every one of those press conferences, Triple H is like, "Oh, we just smashed another record." No, you're not smashing records every fucking pay-per-view.
No,
you're not smashing records every event you have. And that's fine. You don't have to. Don't say you are when you're fucking not. You're not going to tell me that event in Canada this past weekend, what they have, 17, 18,000 people there?
Oh, yeah. 16, and then by the end of it, somehow they had 18 magic.
Yeah, it jumped up like 4,000 people by the end of it.
Yeah.
Because at one point they said 20, and then by the end of it was down to 18 or 19. I was like, because I remember teaching, I was like, how the hell did they go from 16 to 20? And then by the press conference or whatever, it was back at 18, I think. But either way, you can't tell me that's a record for Canada. I would just about be willing to bet if you look at Canadian Stampede, with the Hart Foundation versus Stone Cold's team, there was just as damn many people there, and that's in fucking Alberta.
Well, I mean, even for Tony to make the claim he made, though, I mean, WWE is in the wrong a lot of times when saying a lot of their numbers. Now,
they're bullshit.
Tony's claim of 500 million people in 110 shows, yet he's saying that that's the best-selling wrestling show out there for a live event. Those numbers don't even bear out no matter how you try to figure that out because you can't fit 4.5 million people in an arena. No. But then you look at, you go back and look at the statistics, and they've had no sellout shows in 2024, it looks like, and WWE had a streak of 19 sellout shows. Now, that could be SmackDown and Raw, so it's like not 19 weeks, but there was 19 sellout shows within the year in a straight line.
For a while, they were pretty damn hot. They were doing pretty well, and it's not that they're doing bad now by no means, because
no,
they just announced they're going to be in Atlanta in October. That will sell out.
Oh yeah,
without a doubt.
They're going to cool off some no matter what they do. I mean, that's going to happen for all of them, but for either one of them to get on there and make some of the claims, at least WWE can get a little bit closer to some of their claims. Now, some of them, they're still kind of lying, but Tony's are way, way far off. I'm like,
well, like the WrestleMania that me and Rob went to in Orlando. Okay, that was 77,000 people there. That's a lot of fucking people from Orlando. Now, I remember when I watched it back on DVD, they were trying to say it was 82,000 people there, and I was like, no, there wasn't. But you know what I'm saying? Because I remember announcing it that night as 77 some odd thousand. I was like, that's a fucking shit ton of people. I don't care where you're at. You got 77,000 people there. That's a lot
of people.
So when the DVD came out, I was like, woo. Okay.
And I don't agree with either of them lying about their stuff. However, I will say at least that's 77 to 82 is a little bit closer to from 3,000 to 4.5 million.
4 million people. Yeah, that's ooh. You reckon we can hype our how many viewers we got and subscribers the same way? We got 2 million people subscribing, folks.
It's 2.2 million, which really means 250.
Maybe we can follow y'all into the hey. We got 440 subscribers right now, so that's going to equate to 4.4 million subscribers.
Yeah,
YouTube, get our fucking plaque ready. We're ready for it.
And it wouldn't have got me so bad if he'd have just said that and been like, "Oh, I must spoke the numbers or something." But they had a graphic already made up for it, so he had to have already given them those numbers to put the graphic up when he said it.
I know you didn't watch the NFL draft like I did, but they shut him down on there. Like he got on there and he got to talking, and like he's always got these wide eyes. They should never allow him on TV.
No.
But he had these huge wide eyes. He looked crazy, like he's strung out on meth. And he started talking, and when he started talking, it was like, okay, enough of this. They cut him off completely. It was like, your daddy doesn't have enough money for us to keep you on TV.
Everything is always great.
Oh, he was kind of trying to get into the McMahon shit a little bit.
Yeah.
And when he started, you could see the two NFL analysts. They look at one another and said, "Shut him down."
And it's like he just gets so excited about stuff, but we've picked on him enough, and I just wanted to bring those few things up because we heard them in the news, and I was like, this is a good episode to talk about that a little bit. I don't dislike AEW. I just wish they would do something differently to continue, because at the rate they're going, I think we're not going to be too many years away from having a Who Killed AEW episode on Vice.
Well, you know what? I've had a few people on our Facebook page, get at me, like, oh man, you always hate on AEW. It's not that I'm hating on them. I want them to succeed. Believe me, I'm smart enough to realize you need two companies in professional wrestling. And I'm not talking about it. I'm not even talking about across seas and whatnot. You need two U.S. based companies that are viable. That was the worst thing that ever happened. There's a reason why Vince McMahon actually had buyer's remorse from buying WCW, because he realized buying my competition was not a smart move, other than the fact I got their library and acquisitions. You need that. But I want to see succeed, but they got to get their shit together too. Tony Khan should be the wallet and nothing more. He should be someone he needs to hire someone to run his fucking company for him.
And I'm not I don't
that he listens to, and that person tell him, no, don't spend all this money on this person here. Yes, you need this person, this person, this person. Yes, you need to hire these people in personnel. You need to put these person in talent relations. That's the kind of things he needs to structure as a company.
I guarantee you, Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, and Tongaloa all combined might have got close to the contract that he gave a Will Ospreay, and they've had far more impact than Will Ospreay has had.
Oh, yeah.
For pushing.
And I'm not knocking Ospreay, because Ospreay is actually a hell of a talent. He's actually got a lot of charisma. He is starting to come around on the mic as well. But they signed him to that huge contract for nothing more than to have him and Kenny Omega, and then Kenny Omega went out.
I don't. While I'm not a huge fan of AEW, I would be if I thought there was more going on that was going to make it a competitor. Right now, I just don't think it's a competitor. So until they change their structure,
I jumped on with them, and I've liked what they've done. A lot of the 80% of the time, I'm a fan. I'll put it that way. But it's getting harder and harder to invest emotionally, because I'm seeing all the fall of WCW without Time Warner. They're going to self-destruct without the corporate side that wanted wrestling to go away.
And honestly, the thing he's banking on is getting a TV deal again. And right now, the numbers aren't bearing that out to make that profitable to do that. So
he doesn't get a major network, he's not going to last. He winds up on Discovery or any of those shits like AXS or whatever it is that Impact had to go to. They won't last.
But speaking of not lasting, we've been here for quite a while, so we need to wind up. So before we get out of here, though, let's do Nerd Out. This is the part of the show we ask random questions centered around the topics of the day. We respond with little to no prep time to each other. We'd like to hear your responses, so if you want to share your responses in the comments, we'd like to hear that. Or if you want to expand upon ours, please feel free to do that too. So, Hassel, do you have a Nerd Out question ready for today?
Since we're on wrestling, what would be your SummerSlam main event, and what's the outcome?
SummerSlam main event. I think in that case, I think I'm going to have to go with Cody versus Solo. And then somewhere in the match, Roman shows up, interferes, Cody wins. That sets you up for Survivor Series to start building.
Ooh, I like it.
I would like to see Gunther get the push to be in the main event, but Raw's title is always going to be second fiddle right now.
It is. Because
it did not have the gravitas, and it was made up as a consolation prize. So
yeah, it's almost lower than the Universal at this point.
Yeah. So what about you? What would you do?
I'm gonna go the same route, but I'm going Roman as a special guest referee.
Ah,
He hates both guys. It would almost be Brett Taker, Sean, 96 SummerSlam.
the only other thing that could
Or
come,
97 SummerSlam, I'm sorry.
the only other thing that could come close to being in the main event slot, and I don't see how you do it without a belt, would be Punk and McIntyre, just because they have built that up so much.
That match right there. Now, if you put it even without a belt, if you put it as like a no holds barred, down a cell, something to that effect,
Yeah.
that would be main event. If Punk would have been smart, he would allow Drew to win because he helped him. Like, you wouldn't have fucking won if I didn't do this. And then that being for the
I don't
title.
know,
That would have almost made the Money in the Bank mean something to a lot. You know what I'm saying?
Possibly that, but I do like the fact that when he screwed Drew out of the belt, it also, because it was a triple threat, it also affected Seth. So now he's got a feud after he finishes with Drew. So
Yeah, they had a pretty good segment with Punk and Seth last night.
yeah. So my question for you this week is Money in the Bank used to just be a match in WrestleMania. Well, now it's the gimmick match of its whole pay-per-view. So is there any other type of gimmick match or program, for lack of a better term, would you like to see become its own pay-per-view again? Or would you like, what other match would you like to see come back in some format, whether it's its own pay-per-view or part of a major pay-per-view? How would you like to see it?
I'd actually like to see King of the Ring all in one night.
That was what I had too.
Like literally start to finish the tournament all in one night, where they got to wrestle 3-4 times.
So I had the same thing, but here's a caveat I added to it. So they keep saying they need to build more people and give more people chances to be something of a star. So they built this whole TikTok belt, this speed belt that they wrestle
God,
for.
yes.
But hear me out though. Before, why don't you build that? But instead of having that just as just that, do the King of the Ring tournament, King and Queen of the Ring tournament. You can do them both in one night, right? Whoever comes out on top for either one, whoever wins a match in the fastest time gets a speed belt. And for that year, between King of the Ring and King of the Ring next year, that belt has to be defended, whether you do it on your TikTok or whatever. So give it a little bit of gravitas. That's your runner-up to King of the Ring. You've got this belt. You had the fastest match. It might even be the winner. Who knows? But they've got this belt that they have to defend on some of these other shows and the speed matches. And the belt can move around, build some people up. But at the next King of the Ring, it has to be vacated. And whoever wins the next fastest match at King of the Ring gets the belt to start up the cycle over again for the next year. So it's a way to use that belt to actually build a few people up and actually make it mean a little more. Because I was like, it's cool that they had it, but it meant nothing because we never see it.
Well, the only thing about that is, does it really build anybody? Because basically, whoever's the champion of that, you're only good enough for 3 minutes. That's kind of
but what if you to put that on somebody like a Braun Breaker and he's squashing people in less than 3 minutes and he's constantly, instead of just trying to win it, he's trying to beat his own time every time.
That's got some legs to it. I could deal with
There's
that.
some ways you could use it. I mean, it's not a perfect, but I think the biggest thing is I'd go back to King of the Ring and all in one night, and then maybe do something.
If I wasn't going to say that
consolation
there, I
thing.
would say the old school Survivor Series format,
See,
where it's the ultimate survivor by the end of the night.
I almost wanted to go War Games, but at the same time, like, it's so close to Survivor Series, and you could do that one year as that, and then next year you could do back to old school Survivor Series, and then
if you've done that all alternating years, that'd be great.
Yeah, those would be pretty interesting. But with that, we have speaking of alternating years, we've been here for almost a year, so let's start working on getting out of here. So Hassel, before we leave though, tell everybody where they can find us at.
You can find us on Facebook, Hassel Hutchinson. You can find us on Instagram at the Nerdy Manroom Show. You can find us on Twitter, nerdy.mr show. You can find us on TikTok, the.nerdy.manroom show. We are everywhere. And most importantly, find us on YouTube. Find us on Spotlight Media, on Roku and Fire TV and the app now.
Yes. And while you're checking us out, don't forget to go check out our extended Nerdy Manroom family member, Big Rob. You can find him on his channel of Big Rob's House of Entertainment and No
Chinese Food,
where he does fantastic unboxings, toy hunts, and the occasional canon film movie review, which we have
Yeah,
not
he's a
seen in
little
quite a
behind on
while.
that.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
a
So
little
we got to give
behind
him a
on
little bit
that.
of hassle about that. But after you go check him out and you've watched us, don't forget to go check out our sponsors. We want to give a big thank you to them, These On Collectibles. You can find them on the internet at theseoncollectibles@gmail.com and on Facebook at These On Collectibles or in their store at 305 Main Street, Tifton, Georgia. Visit them for all your nerdy needs. Help them support the local artist community by supporting their cause of bringing unity through community. Fandoms unite. And stick around through the end credits here, and you'll see some of our other friends and extended
Technical difficulties,
yeah,
people.
yeah, as technical as in I couldn't speak for a minute. I just lost my whole wording. All the words run together. But check out some of our extended family members, Nerdy Manroom family members, and our friends in the credits here. They come back here next time. We're going to be doing a surprise episode that we're working on right now. Until then, live nerdy and cash in your money in the bank.